Welcome to another morning coffee with Trevor. I'm your host, Trevor Matthews. And today is another fantastic week. We got a lot to cover this morning, actually. I have a special guest, a good friend of mine, James Bailey, going to be joining us. And we're going to be chatting about a few different things. I'll let a few of you log in. Hey, Victor. Hey, Joel. How you guys doing? Hey, James.
Hey, Trevor. You okay?
Oh, fantastic, bud. Fantastic. Another beautiful day here, even though it's still dark outside. It's beautiful.
It's cold. It's wet in the UK.
Yeah, I believe it. It's actually super mild. It's super wet here. I was down in Florida last week, and on Friday they had feet of snow. It was massive. It was over my kid's head where my wife shoveled. She shoveled for hours. Yeah, poor girl. And then I get back on Sunday and it's like 9 degrees Celsius. And there's like no snow left. So it's flooding everywhere. So
yeah.
So it's thanks for joining, James, Victor, Joel. I'm just going to start off here, just talk about a few different things that about what I know about Micropipe and stuff, but I want to introduce James Bailey, a good friend of mine. We met a few months ago, and our relationship is growing consistently. James has been in the industry just as long or longer than I have, and he's been on the engineering side, just crushing it over the years and making huge waves in the industry, literally making huge wave because he had a company called Wave Refrigeration, and he started now his company called Omega Solutions. And his company is providing leadership training, management training, mentoring, lots of different things that he can help different organizations get to where they want, especially focusing on net zero projects, which I really think that's super cool, James. He's also wrote a book, Culture Redefined, great book on leadership and talking about his experiences on building organization and how the culture is so important and how to build that culture through his experience and his eyes, which I really like. You got to get the book and read it, especially if you got in an organization that you want to build a lot of culture around and really develop that business into a place that you want it to succeed and grow, because it's all about the people inside your organization, you know, that they're your brand, they build your company up. So I thought that book's super cool. A good job on writing that, James, and put a lot of time and effort in that.
Yeah, thanks, Trevor.
How's it going this morning in the UK? Pretty good?
Yeah. Apart from the weather, we've had lots of floods, actually, some serious floods. We're going to have to take a couple of houses down. There was a local village with some old mining shafts, and with the weather, it's created a sinkhole on the banking next to a river.
Wow, unfortunate.
So real unfortunate for those people. But yeah, it's cold, it's wet. We haven't had much snow. We did have a little bit on the weekend, which was cool because we don't get the snow like you guys. So that was nice to take my little girl out sledging for an hour. So yeah, thank you for the intro, Trevor. I thought I'd possibly just use the opportunity. I don't know how you fit with an agenda, Trevor. A little bit about.
You just introduced yourself. Yeah, we're just the conversation here, brother.
So hi everybody. I'm James Bailey. I've been in the refrigeration industry for 20 years this time. Prior to that, I served what we've known in the UK as a typical old-fashioned apprenticeship, left school at 16, trained as a mechanical engineer for 6 years before joining the refrigeration sector. From there, I've worked with the EFTA Group in their contracting division. I worked for a former consultancy which was owned by Emerson, who Trevor worked for a number of years, a smaller independent consultancy, or two of them, before I decided to branch out on my own back in late 2015. So I set up a company, Wave Refrigeration, a consultancy providing technical design support services and project management work to predominantly food retailers in the UK. So Asda, who were part of Walmart, Aldi, the Co-op, Sainsbury's and Morrison's. I've got quite deep socialist principles. and I believe in fairness and equity for everybody. The company was highly successful. Me and my wife, as sole shareholders of the business, decided to sell the business on. We discounted the value by 50% and sold out to the employees. I spent my last year in the business was handing over, ensuring that processes, procedures were in place and that the company was in a good, healthy position. And I made my exit in December last year. To Trevor's point, I've set up a new company. The reason for the new company is I want to follow my passions, which surrounding training, development, mentoring of individuals, helping companies introduce or improve an inclusive culture. And from an engineering perspective, to complement the training that I'll provide, is providing services around net zero. So the UK, like most developed and developing nations, have highly aggressive highly aggressive targets and aspirations to reduce emissions. So my specialism obviously is around refrigeration, and I've got a lot of expertise in technologies of high global warming potential to the transition to low global warming potential. So over the years, build up a reasonable knowledge and skill set in CO2 refrigeration, hydrocarbons, and more recently HFOs. A little bit about White Rose software, which incorporates Micropipe. A long-time mentor and dear friend of mine, Ian Ramsey, who was an absolutely fabulous refrigeration engineer, real technical, highly influential. He passed away a number of years ago, and his software is used throughout the UK. It's used beyond as well, but predominantly in the UK by refrigeration designers, whether or not they be contractors or consultants, to size the refrigeration service lines in between, for example, supermarket display cases, cold storage rooms, and the refrigeration racks. So effectively, it can build up circuitry from the first fixture, can cover all fixtures, every single piece of pipework in the system. It calculates what the pressure drops and the losses are. It's all user defined, so it can accurately size refrigeration lines rather than using first principles and charts. It's a really cool tool. And where its input in the UK, we believe that within the UK alone, that the software has been used for over 30,000 refrigeration systems, ranging from small, humble condensing units all the way to multi-compressor rack systems in larger supermarkets. This software is also used in industrial refrigeration for blast freezers, processing plants, etc. But the core of my and nuclear of my experience is within the retail supermarket sector.
Wow.
So absolutely awesome piece of software.
Yeah, 30,000 installations, that's quite a lot. And with inside that, you've done it for years, right? So you did sizing for many, many years using charts. Can you kind of explain how long it would take you for using charts, for an example, doing maybe a supermarket or a CO2 store or just a retail store, and what's involved in using charts and then going to use White Rose or Micropipe?
Absolutely. So I've always used White Rose Micropipe from joining the refrigeration industry. But where my experience came to light was after I did my first 12 to 18 months raw training. I was placed under an old school engineer who was completely anti-software, and he taught me how to size refrigeration service lines using charts. So looking at different refrigerants, the velocities, the weight, the duty, etc. And to put it in perspective, if I take an average sized supermarket in the UK, once I've drawn, as a design engineer, sketched out schematics, showed where the fixtures are, applied the duties, applied the lengths, using Micropipe would probably take around 3 hours to successfully and accurately size all the refrigeration lines within a store. Going back to the charts and having a look at tons of refrigerant based on every single pipework and the dynamic demand of a refrigeration system, it would take even the most proficient of engineers probably 2 to 3 days. So it's,
Wow.
we're looking at sort of, in my mind and my estimation, an 80% reduction. I do appreciate there'll be highly qualified design engineers out there who size services, and through experience, they can probably go through the charts quicker than that, but it's a tool to be used and expedited to size refrigeration pipework extremely quickly and extremely rapidly.
Yeah, and I've seen this. I was down in Florida last week, and I was talking with the team at Kalos, and Nathan. He does he uses a lot of engineering firms to spec some of the jobs, but he said sometimes the engineering firms are spec, and he doesn't, rely on them, and he doesn't think that they're accurate because he found issues in some of their line sizing. So he has to go back and sometimes resize the stuff. So in a way, that could be a quicker way to review than having to go through every one of the line sizing as well and speed up his process. As you said, like some people will be able to do it faster than others, but on average, it may take a couple of days with the charts.
I think, Trevor, to add, what Micropipe does, once you've performed a calculation, it's an electronic record, or even print out, you've got a hard copy record. So, as the user-defined parameters, so the user will define the evaporating temperature, the superheats, the liquid temperatures, the condensing temperatures, apply what the system line loss needs to be. And the software will take that base data that the designer has entered to calculate the refrigeration service sizes by refrigerant type as well. So there's a whole host of synthetic refrigerants, but I think the core message for me is its ability. It covers all natural refrigerants. So CO2, of course, growing in popularity everywhere, hydrocarbons, propane and butane, and also ammonia. So for me, what it does, there's a number of high-risk items. There's exceeding a penalty, where you may have undersized suction lines. Ultimately, you're going to get a temperature and pressure at the compressor, which is going to be inefficient, possibly in the middle of summer when the system's working hard. There's not going to be enough duty. Similarly, oil return on vertical sections of pipework. We know them as UK's risers. Micropipe actually accurately calculates based upon a user-defined entry from minimum oil return. Of course, we all know oil return can be a big problem, oil problems, plant tripping and failing because of oil. I've seen systems that haven't been designed using Micropipe. An engineer will go to site, a technician will go to site and if he's got an oil fault or she's got an oil fault and it looks like there's insufficient oil, they'll top the oil up in the system, they'll see the alarm and the fault clear, and ultimately you're just saturating that system. And especially within the evaporators in a display case, in a cold room, you're potentially taking away surface area. So you're actually working that system harder to extract the required heat that you need to maintain temperature. And also the most dangerous side for me is undersizing liquid lines. In the middle of summer, if you've got an undersized liquid line, you're going to starve the system when the system wants and needs to work hard due to the ambient temperature. So these are things that Micropipe just cover for. So it gives the design engineer surety. If there is a problem on site that doesn't manifest until summer, at least that engineer can go through the calculation and say, hey, I think I've made a mistake here, or no, actually, you need to dig a little bit deeper because the calculation is accurate. As long as the pipework has been installed to the correct size and the meterage, everything should be good. I've never known, so Micropipe's been used for nearly 30 years. We have never known or experienced Micropipe providing an incorrect answer. But
wow.
The one thing I will say is you need to have, a user of the software needs to have an ability to understand the fundamentals of refrigeration pipe design, which invariably they do, Trevor. You know, you wouldn't. When I worked at Wave, when I set up Wave, I waited for trainees of that business. They had to pass 2 years before I'd let them have the software, because unfortunately the software, if you don't understand the fundamentals, you can become actually quite lazy in your ability to want to acquire knowledge, because the software is doing it for you.
Yeah, totally understand.
So I think it's important not to give fresh trainees access to the software, because human nature is such that they'll just let the software do its thing without understanding what velocities you should look out for, what pressure losses you should look out for. But it's a great piece of software, and also, so it doesn't just assume that lengths of pipework are straight. A user can define an unlimited number of bends. So by putting bends into the software, you're actually accounting for real life losses within an evaporator. Within main line pipework, when you're going through a 90-degree bend, you can apply valves into it. So although the losses encountered from a valve might be small, it's accumulation of everything, and the software will give you an answer based on the full system. So it's quite a unique piece of software. I think it's worth saying, Trevor, it's going to undergo not a rewrite, it's going to migrate. It's been written in Visual Basic 6, was the latest rewrite. The problem is, at the moment, is although the software can be updated from the code side, it's only being supported by Microsoft. There's going to become a point in time where they no longer offer the support, so therefore it inhibits the development. So I'm actually talking to a number of potential partners for them to take the code and convert it into a more of a cloud-based application. So it's easier to download, it's easier to access, it's in a modern language, and it also looks modern, because at the moment it's fit for purpose. It's very intuitive from an engineer, design engineer who uses the software. It is surprising how intuitive it is once you're absorbed within the software and using it on a regular basis. But that being said, it still kind of looks a little bit 1990s, early 2000s.
Yeah, and that's.
But it's great. It's absolutely fit for purpose, and that's going to be a big challenge over the next 12 months for me personally, writing the scope and then working alongside a software company, because they'll need a lot of my input from a refrigeration technical perspective when it comes to formulas.
Yeah, you got that though. That's easy for you. That's easy for you. No, I'm super excited.
It's difficult for me.
Yeah. So we're going to be doing a full demo on this on March 1st. I threw the link into the chat there if you guys want to attend the demo, where James is going to actually size a whole CO2 system for you and kind of show you how it works and how it's easy to function and how intuitive it is to get an idea. I want to thank you very much, James, for explaining that. Does anybody have any questions for James about the software? Has anybody ever done line sizing software? Because we did a few, maybe a week or two ago, we did talk about the refrigeration piping handbook and how important it is to understand velocity as a technician. Because if you don't understand that stuff, and like James said earlier, you start having oil issues, and that's one of the biggest things in systems. And I see technicians running into oil issues and they don't really understand what's going on inside those pipes, then they start to get in trouble. So anybody have any questions? Well, you can throw it in the chat if you want. So that's super exciting that the redeveloping is already happening on it, because I've worked with James and he's been showing me the software, which I think it's so cool. And if it can save you that amount of time, you know, that is huge, because time is one thing that you cannot get back, you know, and you spend a lot of time developing and sizing this. And when you can reduce it maybe up to 80% of your time on line sizing, man, that's hands down going to be more effective. You're going to be more efficient, and you can work on different on different projects or more projects, depending on the size of your company. So I'm pretty impressed and excited about it.
Yeah, I'd just like to add, I'm really excited about delivering the demonstration next week. I hope as many on the call who'd like to attend can attend. And I think just to wrap up, from my perspective, I'm going to be sizing the pipework within an hour window of a convenience store. So I've based it upon typical co-op store, but perhaps what the team in North America would look at, maybe a typical 7-Eleven type store, but all within an hour. All the pipework will be designed. I'll be doing it in imperial units, so BTUs and PSI, because naturally in the UK we're on the metric SI system, but the software allows you to convert between the two, which is pretty cool. And yeah, I'm just really excited. And I think just to add as a final, myself and Trevor will be offering a trial. So anyone who's interested in the software, after the demonstration, we'll be issuing a couple-month trial. So to allow engineers to use the software, see what they think of it in North America. Certainly very popular in the UK and used by every larger system designer in the UK. So hopefully we can build up traction. And as Trevor says, we've established a great friendship, and Trevor's going to be really crucial to the expansion and growth of the software, certainly in the North American market.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
A question for James. Good morning, James. Good morning, Trevor.
Good morning.
Hey, Victor. Nice to meet you.
Yeah. James, when you're gonna demonstrate this software, and what time, so we can subscribe to know about it?
It's
so Victor, go ahead, James.
It's the 1st of March, and time-wise, it's 7 o'clock in the evening UK time. So 8 Pacific, so 11 o'clock Pacific, 1 o'clock Central, and I guess it'd be 2 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, look at you go, James. I mean, knowing your time zone. So Victor, if you click on the link in the chat, it'll take you right to it, so you can sign up for it. Yeah, do you see that? And I'll put this in the description in the video. So anybody who's watching this on YouTube, you can check the link in the description, but you need to do it before March 1st, because that link's not going to work after then. We already have hundreds and hundreds of people who already registered. So definitely sign up and jump on.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Victor.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? Burning desires to ask James? Definitely, like I said, get his book, Culture Redefined.
Hey, thanks for the push there, Trevor.
Hey, Trevor.
Hey, Joel.
Hey, morning. All
hey,
right,
Joel, nice to meet you.
Yes, man. My question, is the piping only for CO2, or is it for normal other refrigeration, which is like other refrigerants and stuff?
Yeah, so Joel, at the moment, there's natural refrigerants, but synthetics, it covers R404A, even R22, R407A, R407F, R410A, R448A, R449A. And as part of the rewrite, we're actually going to introduce some of the HFO blends, year 12 refrigerant. But I've decided to have a cutoff. I don't want to introduce any new refrigerants with a global warming potential of above 250 in the future. As an industry, we need to be pushing and promoting low GWP as low as possible. But I think we should all be aware, I think that A2L HFOs will have a place in the immediate future. So in terms of development, I'll be adding R454A and R454C as part of the rewrite. So yeah, Joel, to answer your question, there's the synthetics and natural refrigerants available for selection.
Okay, so like the 404 and stuff. I just wanted to find out if you're covering also to, like, let's say the normal home run piping, and also to like loop system piping for those normal refrigerants.
Absolutely. So I think terminology wise, The looping system you're referencing, we refer to in the UK as a branch and main arrangement. So it covers
Yes, branch
all
main.
and all the lines from the plant down to the fixtures.
Yeah, correct. You have one big you have one main suction line, one main liquid line, and you have branches.
Absolutely, branches off, Joel. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, sweet. Yeah, man. Thanks.
Thanks, Joel.
Any other questions for James, the man, the myth, the legend? Okay, fantastic. Thanks for stopping in. Okay, March 1st, 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to do a demo. We're going to be giving away some licenses for anyone who wants to learn about it, get their hands wet, their feet wet, and just, take a shot at it and learn how to, line size their systems quicker and faster, better, more efficient. So I'm super excited about this, James. Thank you so much for stopping by, and thanks everyone for hanging out with me and Morning Coffee with Trevor. Let's get a conversation going. See you.
Thanks, Trevor. Bye.